ask the audience to refrain from,
You gotta have a secretary to have a meeting.
please refrain from that,
From that what? You gotta have a secretary.
please. Thank you very much.
Be civil. No, they gotta have a secretary. It's part of the state law. Well, she's on her way. Last time I checked with the law. Y'all gotta have a secretary. You can't start this meeting.
Remember Annie Carter?
Oh, we haven't seen her in ages.
Let's have some, please, you must, in the audience,
You gotta follow the law. You want to roll to follow the law.
the
Y'all
audience
gotta follow.
will have,
Refrain
Check.
from public outbursts.
will the engineer please give me some, not working here. Testing, testing. You need to turn it up. You need to turn this mic up, please. It's not up. Testing. Now it is. Now it is. Now it is.
We can hear you.
Yeah, but it's not where it should be. I should be able to talk and be able to hear myself.
We hear you, but we don't see the secretary.
Okay. In any event, testing. There we go. That's where the mic should be.
I'll resume. Remember Annie Carter?
Here.
Remember Elena Herrada?
Present.
Remember Patricia Singleton?
Present.
Remember Hawkins-Williams?
Present.
Remember Lamar Lemmons? I am present. Member Reverend David Murray. Member Wanda Redmond. Member Ida Short.
Present.
Member Tawana Simpson.
Present.
Member Wanda Redmond. Vice President Ida Short.
Present.
President Herman Davis.
Present?
Mr. Chairman. And Member Julie Summers. Mr. President, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's have a moment of silence for the prayer of this meeting. You've seen the agenda. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move the agenda be adopted as presented.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported the acceptance of the agenda. Is there discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Chairperson remarks. I want to thank everyone for coming today. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you will give us your undivided attention as always. And as President Obama told people in Flint he had their back, I hope you've got my back, okay? Please do that for me. I love you. At this time, I'd like Dr. Telford, about 30 seconds.
And that's all you're going to get today. In 1999, we had $1 million surplus. We had test scores at the state midpoint and rising. The state took us over that year. 15 years later, we have a surplus of almost $1 billion, or rather a deficit of almost $1 billion. Test scores are the worst in America. And as far as I'm concerned, the only thing that can happen to make this better is to restore the powers of this elected board sitting up here and pay back the millions that the state stole, mismanaged, and squandered. But whatever happens, I think everyone in this room remains a lifelong supporter of our children, regardless of who runs this district. And they are the people that we have to remember who have been suffering the most and have had their education taken away.
Thank you, Dr. Telford. At this time, I'd like to introduce to some the emergency manager, Judge Rhodes. Would you like to make some comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, Chairman Davis and the members of the school board. As Chairman Davis and I have been discussing, Superintendent Meriweather and I are here with you this morning so that we can listen to your questions and to your ideas. We want to hear your thoughts on how we can create the best possible school district for our children and for the families of Detroit, and to hear your practical ideas on how to transition Detroit Public Schools back to local control, a goal I think we all share. I also hope to hear from individual board members about areas where they feel they might be able to help and to volunteer their time and their expertise to make a difference in this district. Mr. Chair, I do have a hard stop at 10 a.m. due to other pre-existing commitments. And in order to maximize the hour that we have together this morning, and so that we can provide a full and complete and accurate response to any of the questions of the members, as well as the Detroit community, we will write down all of your questions that we get here this morning, and we will publish responses on the district's website within a few days.
Thank you, sir. And again, we'll move swiftly here. I'd like Superintendent Alycia Meriweather to have comments.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Board of Education, and thank you for the opportunity to address you this morning. I wanted to share briefly some things that we're working on, and also just some statistics. We've been running a DPS dashboard that I think is kind of helpful information, not just for the board, but the community at large. And so I'm going to run through the dashboard for the week, and then I'm going to share some quick updates about the planning process we have in place currently regarding our academic plan.
We want to hear from Rhodes.
So the total enrollment for Detroit Public Schools, including adult education, this is the audited number, is 46,931.42 students. And I'm going to skip down to pre-K students who do not count in our enrollment except when they are special education. There's 3,302 pre-K students in Detroit Public Schools. Our current special education audited count is 3,971.61. For just the record, the number of school buildings we have open currently, 93. The number of school programs, 97. That includes small schools that are within schools. The number of students exiting DPS last week, 39. The number enrolling, 20. We have over 2,000 students currently enrolled in AP courses, some students taking more than one course. Currently, we have 6,382 staff, 2,928 of them are instructional staff. The April hires, promotions, and transfers, there were 38, and April retirements and resignations, 54. We call this the DPS dashboard, and we're putting that out every Monday. These numbers are updated, and trying to help people have a better understanding of the pulse of what's happening in the district. Now, around academics and our focus, I'll make this brief. There's basically 5 pillars that we've been focusing on since my appointment, talking about literacy, of course, career technical education. I want to acknowledge the 50+ completers at Crockett. I think it was yesterday. We had the highest number of completers in the nursing program that we've had in history, and that should be acknowledged, that our students did an excellent job completing the program. The other thing we're looking at is innovative ways of teaching and learning, using our current staff and our current buildings in new and different ways. Last week we announced 12 programs that are being explored. Parent and community involvement, and of course wraparound services. One of the issues we really want to continue to put more attention on is around chronic absenteeism, and we've joined the My Brother's Keeper national initiative around this issue. The academic plan currently sunsets June 30th, and we are in the process of developing a new plan, which is going to include a multitude of stakeholders next week. In fact, we have over 85 teachers and principals who have signed up to help in this process. And this is the first time we've done this way, where it's a more open and transparent community process. So obviously this is just the beginning. And when we get some things developed, then of course we will open up for comment from the community and for input from students and parents and everyone else. But we first need to get some things outlined relative to the academic, what we call the academic buckets. So I'm going to keep my comments limited to that, and I'll turn it back to the chair, President.
Thank you very
Mr.
kindly.
Chair, may I just have one more
Sure, go
sentence?
ahead.
One more word. I have asked my senior staff, the senior staff of Central Office, to be here today, and they are here. And with your permission, I'd like to ask them to raise their hands so that we can see that they are here.
Thank you, appreciate it. Moving right along. Questions from board members to the emergency manager, Judge Rhodes, or interim superintendent, Alycia Meriweather.
One question per board member.
Patricia?
Good morning. We're getting feedback through the speakers.
I'm Board Member Singleton, and I'd like to share a concern. DPS parents and stakeholders would like clarity regarding Public Act 396 of 2012. This law allows tax-exempt status for the new hockey stadium. Now, stakeholders are aware that there's a current lawsuit that's filed with the Michigan Court of Appeals that states and argues that House Bill 5463 failed to pass the constitutionally mandated 2/3 vote for the House. Now, the lawsuit cites that the arena tax dollars would total approximately $15 million, so the students could use for various reasons in the DPS system. So do you have an opinion on that?
I will certainly look into that for you. This is not anything I'm familiar with.
Mr. Lemmons.
I want to give clarity. It's called tax capture. The hockey stadium is being exempt. The hockey stadium is being exempt from paying their fair share to the taxes of the students. And she went into the site of the law.
Yeah, that's okay.
Mr. President, I have two. We have visited Drew Special Needs School. We discovered that Drew has a budget where the money is coming from the county, but Drew has been told that they can only have summer school for 3 half days in the week, after the regular school ends, and they're moving our students to another building. I don't remember which building it is. But they have their own budget and they are able to pay currently for all the teachers that they need for the summer. So the question is, why are our students not being allowed to have a full academic program, the 200 days of required education, when in fact we have the budget for it? That's my first question. The second question is, Davis Aerospace has been a sore spot for this board for several years since we've had the EMs messing with Davis Aerospace. We were the only school district in the state of Michigan that had an aeronautical program. The materials, the airplanes, all the equipment was literally dumped, and I'm not exaggerating, into another building. We're on the verge of losing our FAA license, or have we lost it?
certification.
So we lost it. And it will take approximately 4 to 5 years to get that back. I would like to see that if we're going to do academics where our children can actually become mechanics, become pilots, at this point it's a sham. The parents have the kids in the school, but in fact, that is not what's being taught. Lieutenant Colonel Milburn has been, and he's a Tuskegee Airman, has been actively working with this school for several years, along with the other Tuskegee Airmen, and we have been sorely disappointed because the EMs have literally destroyed that school. In addition, they've taken the curriculum, literally gave that curriculum to DeVos School. In Grand Rapids. Wow, they dismantled and they bought equipment and everything else from us. So basically, the problem that I have with the EMs in general is that they have come in, they have feigned that they were going to do something to help the district, but in fact, we've been raped, pilfered, and plundered. So I would like to see Drew transition taken care of, that they have everything by law that they're required to have. And I would like to see a response that would at least say, we're going to literally work on Davis Aerospace, not a fake attempt, but a real attempt to bring us back to where we were.
Let them answer the question, help me with the time.
He's not answering.
Can I have your attention, please?
So
Please.
those are my two. Thank you.
I agree, we need to look into both of those matters, and we will.
Any card? You'll have
Sorry,
to.
Judge Rhodes, my question, and I think I have two, maybe three. I'm sorry. My question is more than likely two as well. And the question is that Camp Burt Shirley is a camp that is used every year for our students. And up under Mr. Early, he gave a $2 million contract with multiple years of renewal to Detroit Rescue Mission. And the district will have to pay funds when our kids go use this camp this year. And I'm not for sure if it's 50,000 or 500,000 if we want to use our own camp. This camp cannot be sold, transferred, or anything. And my question is, because the deeds state that it has to stay within DPS, and if they're talking about a new school system, who gets to be the owner of that property? And it's in Redmond, Michigan. And we're talking about over 250 acres of land, private. And my next question is on finance, is that every school district are supposed to have an audit. Can you tell me what was the last year that DPS was audited? I remember back in 2008 we had to do an audit, but have there been an audit since 2008? It's supposed to be every year, but have we got a report? That's my question.
Mr. President, I'd like to follow up. We do have the EMs have always had an annual audit, and so did we when we had control. But what we're asking for is a forensic specific audit dating back from 2009, that's our date, to current time. And I have another as a backup, but that's it.
Were your questions answered?
Oh, the other one is Parent Network. They have not been very successful, and I need to understand.
Pull your microphone closer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to understand why did the district give them a $2 million contract as well? And while I'm on finance, how much revenue have we collected from the TV and radio station that DPS owns? And also the $28 million that Earmark owes the district. Have we had any collection on that amount of money?
Thank you. Next will be Elena, I'm sorry, Elena, and then,
Mr. Chair, one second.
yes.
Collection on what? Because I'm making notes here.
Collection of the 28 million that Dr. Callaway began to proceed legally to go after Airmark. They overcharged us with our new program, and there was federal dollars that's supposed to be coming back to the district, which was in the amount of about 28 million.
Thank you. Please.
Elena?
Thank you. My question is actually in two parts as well. And the board is making a request. I want to really reach out and speak to the people across the state, many of whom are very involved at this time. Many are involved in the legislation and the changes in Detroit Public Schools. And I'm asking all legislators and all the constituents of every county in the state to ask another question, to ask not where the money will come from, but where did the money go? Where did the money go? We are now over $800 million in debt when we had not been in debt, and yet the legislature voted not to do a forensic audit. We, the school board members who have not had access to one penny, you can see that we don't have a bottle of water on our table. We do not have a secretary. We work diligently without pay, so yes, we do volunteer, but we don't know where any of the money went, and no one is willing to look into that very important question. And I think that the people outstate in Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo and all those places are asking a very good question. Why should they bail out the city of Detroit? But they are asking the wrong people. They're asking the same people who are asking them to pass this legislation to bail out Detroit, and they know and we don't know where the money went. So that's one part of it, and Public Act 436 does require in Section 12 that the emergency manager has the authority to analyze factors and circumstances contributing to the financial emergency of the district and initiate steps to correct the condition. And that even means when the financial emergency was caused by the emergency manager. Require and prescribe the form of special reports to be made by the finance officer of the district. Examine all records and books of account and require under the procedures of the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act, citations omitted, the attendance of witnesses and the production of books, papers, contracts, and other documents relevant to the analysis of the financial condition of the district, and retain one or more person or firms to perform the duties of a local inspector or a local auditor by conducting meaningful and accurate investigations and forensic audits, and to detect and deter waste, fraud, and abuse to assure that financial information is accurate, reliable, and timely. The board asked that the emergency manager does this. I want to.
This was supposed to be part of the question and stated as a part of the resolution. Now that you've read large sections of the resolution, so why don't you move back?
I'll come back to the second part of my question. Thank you for the correction. The second part of my question is actually specific.
Please be reminded that make comments no more than 3 minutes. We have a 1 hour,
Okay.
and we have to move along swiftly.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak out of turn. The second part of my question relates to the EAA, the Educational Achievement Authority, which is a terribly separate and unequal school district created by Governor Snyder. And within the EAA's own guidelines, within its own arbitrary guidelines, it requires that schools that fall below a certain threshold are returned to DPS. This year, we're looking at Phoenix Academy closing. It had 0. Students met 0 of the requirements needed under the Michigan Department of Education report card. 0. And now we see that nonprofits are in the community asking what should be done with that building. Those schools were to be returned to Detroit Public Schools. I want to remind you also that Phoenix Academy had a 9th grade added to it, something that an elected school board would never do, is to close Southwestern High School while we owe money on that school, that beautiful building, until 2039, and open up a 9th grade in a failing school, and then further fail those students
and then give away the building. This is something that an elected school board member or body would never do if they had authority. And I'm asking, why is the EAA not held to even its own bogus rules?
Thank you, Member Herrada.
Mr. President, I'd like to follow up to her question. According to the contract.
Hold on just 1 second, please. We have other members that need to make that. We're gonna move on to other members now. On the
We got
Redmond?
22 more minutes, 22 more minutes.
Good morning. Judge Rhodes. Based on the fact and data that DPS fared far better under local control, the data suggests that before the takeover, DPS had approximately 180,000 students. I believe we had $1.5 billion fund, and I believe we had $95 million surplus. That suggests that local control can govern its finances. Since then, the state has taken over, and not only has finances declined, but student achievement has declined as well. When you put the two together, would not a reasonable person return control back over to the elected school board, duly elected school board? And since the data suggests that we did a far better job, why not transition the school district back to the current board now, since we did a better job than the state? I think we have proven that. As a judge, sir, based on the data, do you think that it is fair for the state of Michigan not to return local control?
That's a good question.
Do it now. Do it now.
And lastly, sir, in the meantime, would you be so kind as to have your superintendent or your staff at least attend our board meetings to inform, our board meetings, to inform us as to the decisions that are being made regarding our children, and perhaps we can give them some input.
Any response at all to that?
Yes, let me respond at least to that last request. I and my staff want to attend your meetings from now on. So whenever, Mr. Chair, you want to schedule a meeting and hear from us, I'll be there, and my staff, and I'll be here even if you don't want to hear from us. If you have other business. So you just, don't give us appropriate notice, and we'll clear our schedule. Obviously, the more notice we get, the better it is for everybody, but yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I had already answered.
I'd like to go back to the EAA, where we have sat with the EMs, emergency managers, and we have requested that our schools be brought back into the district when the contract has been violated. We were told, sue us. So I think if we're going to be genuine, we need to bring the schools back into the district, because the contract has been broken for a couple of years now. So I would like to know which schools right now don't meet the contract requirements, and will you bring them in September? By September.
Thank you, Adam.